Well, hey there, and welcome back for another Secondhand Opinions video. I'm Jason Alderman, the internet's favorite fat-mouth fat-ass, bringing you fat stacks of fucked facts. And today I got a little scripted video for you, so bear with me while I read it, and we'll get through this as quick as we can. I want you to see some things. I want you to know them so you're not surprised. 1. Bernie Sanders is too weak to succeed in his own right, which is scary because he's the only competition to Bloomberg, whom, by the way, hasn't actually run yet. He's simply buying his way in, and into second place, I might add. That should tell you something. 2. Bernie's plan is to incite his brawlers into punching their way into the White House and placing him upon the Iron Throne. Trouble is, this kind of mob is just as likely to eat him first. As soon as they catch on that he's too weak to fight the fight that gets them the free shit that he promised, or stop them from taking it, they'll railroad him into position, or trample him in the charge. 3. Donald Trump, 45th President of these United States of America, the outsider from out of nowhere, has enough evidence on enough people that he's letting the little fish go now. On the home front, this truly has become a chess game between Garry Kasparov and your neighbor's kid, simply outclassed. For a better primer on what we've seen here, take a look at Kasparov versus Karpov. I think it's their first interaction, actually. Even when it looks like you may be beaten, your opponent may be pressured into making a mistake. I'm not claiming Trump as a master, more like a grand pupil. He has a room full of world-class coaches. He doesn't even have to be great, he just has to play. The Democrats are clueless. They have no coaches. They have 20 players arguing about what move to make next. No single strategy is coherently applied. What we should expect to see from here on is deep state panic, frantic lashing out at the president as if that's new, but it will be less organized, less concerted in effort, less cohesive in execution. Donald Trump is likely focused on foreign affairs right now. He's likely thinking about in what order to best scoop up the criminals in our system like so many jacks. These things take timing. It's easy to step on your own dick in this game. Picking up the wrong small fish may tip off a lot of bigger fish. So you have to close the net quickly, all of a sudden, so to speak. I'm certain that while we are all hyper-focused on the home game, POTUS is doing things behind the scenes, both here and abroad. However, I bet his big moves right now are geared towards what happens next year. He knows this year will have the deep state focused here for the most part on our upcoming election, the Dems' attempts to rig it, and the deep state's attempts to not get caught. Having most, if not all of these things handled already, Trump is focusing on what he can accomplish in his next 4 years. This election, the arrests and oustings to come. Some may flee the country, others may flee from this life. Those who did the wicked deeds know it, and they know they cannot hide it. So look to China, look to the UK, look to the Middle East. Look for deep fish running off to these waters. Look to who visits who and where, and you just bet Donnie's already been talking to people there. Bet your best button bloomers bitches get bashings on both ends and bluntly. Their next steps are not really about attacking Trump, but about demoralizing you and I, the American populace. Showing us exactly how corrupt the system is, using that system to hurt us, and blaming the president. Trouble is, even the blindest of us can smell the bullshit. They know they cannot save what was, and they cannot move forward from where they were due to a lack of support. It's all dried up. So they will now focus on setting up the same blocks in the same sort of way because it's all they know, and they're still not smart enough to have learned their lessons. They're going to keep tearing up speeches and acting freakish in public, blatantly lying to us, and assuming that we're too complacent to bother investigating for ourselves, as they turn around and publicly do the opposite of what they chastise us for doing. Don't fly first class. Cultural appropriation, assault, sexual assault, graft, election meddling. The list goes on. There's nothing underhanded they won't try and pull and then blame you for. What's worse, they don't even care that the shenanigans they're pulling in an effort to cheat their way to the head of the race just hurts every single person still clinging to the party in hopes that sanity will soon make a reappearance. The ones we've lost over the cliff are still screaming in fanatic rage, even as the ground rushes up to silence each and every individual in the mob, so no one really cares, but we're all hoping that part is over soon. By the way, if you're not watching, Dave over at X22 Report, you should be. He's a pretty fart smeller. He's on to what's going on. Lastly, if you're one of those over the cliff zealots, understand at this point, we know that you know that we know that you're the only in this for the selfish, disgusting reasons. That you feel like your failures in life are someone else's fault, and you'll kick the shit out of anyone who doesn't cower and give you what you want at this point. You'll attack women, children, elderly. You'll cowardly drive blindly into a voter registration booth. We get that you have no boundaries, no morals, no limits. Do you get that this makes you a parasite, and that everyone hates you? You can't even stand yourselves. Because we know you're actually a tiny group of prepubescent thugs. We also know how to pass laws requiring that this kind of behavior begets the proper punishment it deserves as the political terrorism that it is. Well, let's all keep pretending like our opinions matter and leave that shit in the comments below. And remember, this is social media, so do all the things.